some reason, a Dr. Jill gave Kamala's husband mouth-to-mouth. He wasn't even unconscious. Makes you wonder about the state of their union. We'll be right back. As for the whole affair, what was once a unifying exercise is now just a batting cage for political campaign rhetoric. And it's done in a way that's less real than Madonna's face.
I don't know who she thinks she is, but I do think it might be someone with real power, and it shouldn't be. She's another Hillary Clinton who thinks it's co-presidency. There was news that got recirculated this week. It actually was broken by the Washington Examiner in January of 2022 that she wanted her own Hail to the Chief song, and it happened. It's called Fanfare for the First Lady, and it was being played for her over and
Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly just delivered a scathing critique of Jill Biden, cutting through the polished surface of what they see as one of America's most overrated public figures with ruthless clarity. From awkward speeches to seemingly scripted displays of empathy, they portrayed the First Lady as a prime example of manufactured credibility. No official title, high-end wardrobe, or supportive media coverage could protect her from their takedown. The criticism was biting, sharp, and arguably long overdue. And Jill Biden's carefully crafted public persona may not fully bounce back from the backlash.
You know who just stunk up the View. The Bidens joined the View this morning for the entire hour. The audience was caught off guard, but knew something was up when they saw a dozen Secret Service agents and 2 embalmers.
the Washington Examiner reporting that the Marine Corps band was instructed last fall, they wrote, to come up with an entrance theme for the First Lady. The band now has in its repertoire an original composition titled Fanfare for the First Lady. The song, according to their source, is an original composition, and it's essentially Jill Biden's personal Hail to the Chief. This has caused, they report, amusement and confusion within the band, with some remarking that in the many years they've played in the group, it's the first time the group has had to provide the First Lady with an exclusive entrance.
If you're enjoying this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell icon. Greg Gutfeld stepped up with his signature smirk, the kind that signals no topic is off limits. And tonight's focus? None other than Jill Biden, America's most spirited holder of an education doctorate, brandishing her community college PhD like a golden pass to unquestioned authority. Greg wasn't having it. He leaned in like a predator sensing vulnerability, and once he picked up on it, the outcome was inevitable.
When he was just 15 and she was 39, a teacher at his school. That's a difference of 24 years between a kid and a middle-aged lady. Goes to show the difference between their first lady and America's previous one. In France, it's the elder who dishes out the abuse.
He began by asking how the U.S. ended up with someone pretending to be a first lady while also acting as a part-time professor of national self-deception. Gutfeld portrayed her as the ideal symbol of today's America, where appearance is valued more than depth. The way she held onto that doctor title like it was the final lifeboat on a sinking ship of significance had Greg laughing like a guy who just read a thesis on salad utensils.
It's a terrible song. Listen to a little bit of it. Everyone's standing like she's the president. Literally sounds like something my 5th grade band could have played. But the point is ego. Ego.
To him, Jill Biden wasn't just a product of political favoritism. She was the living example of the everyone gets a trophy era. A woman whose biggest career highlight was being cheered for delivering a commencement speech that sounded like it was borrowed from a fortune cookie assembly line. Greg didn't even have to mimic her. He simply let her resume do the talking through his sarcasm.
Response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
No, there's nothing saying that.
The people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us.
And they didn't see how hard Joe worked every single day. I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night I'd be in bed, reading my book, and he was still on the phone reading his briefings, just working with staff. I mean, it was non-stop.
He ripped into how she made the rounds on media platforms, acting like an education expert. Even as the country's test scores were swirling down the drain like a flushed toilet, no one bothered to notice. To Greg, the thought of Jill Biden giving Americans advice on literacy while her husband stumbled over saying his own name was comedy at its finest. He was struck by the irony, poetic absurdity, the kind of tragic humor only a nation this mixed up could create.
It's the same thing that makes her insist on being called doctor, even though she only has an advanced degree in education. She is not a medical doctor. Same thing, this necessary buildup of her ego that insists on that insists on a song and the trumpets, and that insists on her frail, non-compass mentis husband staying in the presidency, even if it means he will exit the public stage in humiliation.
Count all the anyways. What about this rule? No, Joe, I'm not a fan. Well, yeah, anyway. I told you we weren't going to get any of that finished. None of you would have believed it happened. Yeah, not because it's bad. I mean, anyway, once I got on the plane, I flew to South Korea. I dealt with all those 8.2% tax issues. Anyway, it's confidential.
Not the anyways.
What about this version? No, Joe, I don't like that. Well, anyway, I told you the name that done. None of you thought that.
Yeah.
Not because negative. I mean, it was. So when I got in the plane, I went to South Korea, went to all.
That's why we have nice things.
Anyway.
He closed his segment by calling her the Forrest Gump of politics, not because of any charming traits, but because she kept appearing in places she didn't belong, smiling, nodding, and repeating cliches like a GPS stuck on loop. In Greg's view, Jill Biden wasn't hated. She was just there, like a screensaver on a frozen presidency. Then it was Megyn Kelly's turn. She didn't waste a second. While Greg threw jabs with humor and timing, Megyn delivered her critiques like a scalpel, cold, sharp, and relentless. To her, Jill Biden wasn't just a harmless cheerleader for her husband's failing administration. She was the chief enabler, the one who dressed up Joe's confusion as compassion and sold it to a media that couldn't tell the difference between elder care and executive leadership. Megyn began by tearing apart the myth of Jill's career. This wasn't a woman who had earned her way through academic challenge. She had airlifted herself to prestige riding the magic carpet of a famous last name and a nation too polite to ask questions. She slammed the manufactured seriousness around her title, mocking how the press bent over backwards calling her doctor, while simultaneously ridiculing anyone who questioned its authenticity.
Likes us to call her doctor, no matter the setting, you see, because it clearly makes her feel important. How sad. You would think that a woman of her age and status would not need to hear academic title repeated everywhere before her name is said in order to feel worthy. But she clearly does, because she has it said every.
She likened Jill's rise to fame to a reality show where the contestant wins not by talent but by being married to the host. The illusion of competence, pretense of wisdom. It was all smoke and mirrors, and Megyn came with a fire hose. Then came the real hits. Megyn broke down the moral cowardice of a woman who watched her husband deteriorate before her eyes and stayed silent. That wasn't loyalty, it was exploitation in pearls. She didn't hold back. She said what others were too scared to even whisper. Jill Biden didn't just stand by as Joe struggled through sentences and drifted off stage. She encouraged it. She built the ramp and handed him the microphone. She ridiculed the media interviews, the carefully staged appearances where Jill played the compassionate caretaker while dodging real questions like a contestant who forgot the rules to the game. Megyn saw right through the smiles, the empathy acts, the Hallmark card activism. To her, Jill Biden wasn't America's mom. She was America's stepmom, trying way too hard and failing in public. Then she attacked the social causes. Oh, the social causes. Megyn pointed out Jill's version of activism had all the depth of a bumper sticker and the bravery of a weather vane. 1 week it was climate, the next school lunches, then literacy, always delivered with the same bland, reheated optimism you'd expect from someone whose idea of bold was wearing leopard prints to a policy summit.